that's a little overkill there.
I think that's good.
All good? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll just ask you the questions, and then if you can just leave, after I ask the question, just leave it like a second of dead space, because it makes it a little bit easier for us to snip the different clips.
Yeah.
Okay, can you give us an introduction with your name and who you are?
Curtis Whalen, and I went with Blue Sky Pest Control. And I'm one of the owners and founders, and been in the pest control industry for, it's been a while now. It's been over 25 years, I think.
Okay. How did you get started in pest control?
Just kind of by accident. I got introduced to it kind of as a summer job when I was in college. Thought I'd do it for a summer or two to kind of help, put myself through college. And next thing you know, I made a career out of it, and it's been awesome. I've loved the industry, and I mean, it was even better than I expected, and it's a great industry, and we get to take care of people and obviously provide a very important and essential service.
Awesome. What do you love about pest control?
Some of the main things I like is one, the problem solving aspect. You get in there and sometimes it's run of the mill, but a lot of times, you get in there and it's like, okay, well, where's this coming from? What's causing it? And you got to sleuth it or, investigate a little bit. So that part's enjoyable. Also just, taking care of people. When you go in, people are often stressed out or scared or concerned about a pest or what they're dealing with, and then being able to give them a solution, and then by the end of the day, they're like relieved and just so grateful for what you've done. There's just a lot of satisfaction in that, and so those are two things that I really like.
Perfect. So, Arizona Pest Professional Organization, how did it start?
Started quite a few years ago with some original founders. They were a few of the first presidents, and there was another association, and but they felt like that association was more catered to some of the bigger companies, and so they decided to start a new association to, kind of, their goal was to kind of cater to maybe the medium to smaller companies. Just they wanted everybody to feel like they had a voice. And so I think that's kind of the main reasons they started it. I wasn't involved back then. I wasn't even aware of it at first. But yeah, it's turned into something really wonderful, and AZPPO does a lot of good for the industry, and helps people out. And I think one big thing is AZPPO does even more for the industry than people realize. So anyways, that's why I always encourage people.
Awesome. Why did you join the association?
For multiple reasons. A big reason is because it's a joint state, and so when you join AZPPO, you're also a member of the National Pest Management Association, and there's a lot of value to being part of NPMA also, and then there's a ton of value being involved in the AZPPO. So the combination of that is, I think, is amazing, and then also, I think as I got involved more, I saw there's so much value in things that AZPPO provides that I don't think I was even aware of. I didn't realize all the things that the association did on the backside. I mean, I knew they did some of it, but I didn't realize how much there was when it came to, stuff with like legislation, and even with the state regulators, like the Pest Management Division of the Arizona Department of Agriculture. That's something huge that AZPPO does. AZPPO has a great relationship with them. They're in contact with them regularly. They're always trying to foster that relationship. And then when questions or things come up, or even because we have such a good relationship, like if they're considering making a rule change or needing to do something, they often, if not always, get our opinion on it. And so, and on the flip side, we've had times where something started happening that was different than what we expected, and because we have a good relationship, we were able to sit down with them and talk to them like, hey, what's up with this, and then we've usually been able to come to great solutions. And I don't know if people really even realize all the work that AZPPO does behind the scenes when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like, for example, I don't know, 5 or so years ago, the fees to renew were lowered. that was because of AZPPO's work with PMD. They talked to him and said, hey, you have this huge surplus that you don't even need. It's more than you need to even run the agency. Why don't we lower the fees? They're like, oh, okay, we'll try it. So at first it was like on a temporary basis, but now it's been going, it hasn't stopped. So, and that literally saves the industry money, everybody in the industry money. So that's just one little example.
That's awesome. What roles have you had in your career and within the organization?
Yeah, I started out kind of as an inspector, salesperson during the summer, and then I also became a service technician. I was a service technician kind of part-time when I was in college for almost 2 years, and then I became like a service manager, a supervisor, and I helped hire and train new technicians for a little while, for about a year and a half, and then I started my own company. And I mean, when you're own your own company, you wear a lot of hats. I mean, I was literally a technician still, out servicing homes. I was also a salesperson. I was a CSR, a customer service representative in the office. I mean, I was the, helped payroll. I mean, you do everything. And so, but as an owner, I've been president and chief operating officer of different companies that I've helped start. So those are some of the main roles.
What was your hope for the organization?
My hope for the organization is one of the big ones is just to support the industry and be a resource to help the industry thrive, and also to represent ourselves well, to protect the industry, I guess, because this industry it's an amazing industry. There's a lot of good people in the industry, and we got to make sure we have our protect it, and the industry has provided so many people wonderful livelihoods and taking care of us, and we also provide such an important essential service that does so much good that people, I think, take for granted too. The fact that we protect public health and protect structures, protect the food supply, protect the environment, etc. And people don't even realize how much we do. A good friend of ours, he made a comment. He's like, what would happen if the whole pest control industry went on strike? He's like, and if we went on strike for 90 days, 120 days, 6 months, 8 months, he goes, what would the country start looking like? And he's like, he goes, I don't know how long it would take, but it wouldn't take that long for things to kind of start looking like a third world country. And that's what our industry does. And so we obviously want to be unified as an industry to protect ourselves, because there's constant different special interest groups coming after our industry, trying to potentially take away products that we use. And they only look at things, they don't look at things accurately totally. And I don't know if they always have the right motives either. They say they're doing it to try, like, oh, this is a harsh chemical or something, and it's like, well, what happens instead if you don't have that, if you use it correctly? So anyways, protecting the industry, being unified, and I don't think those type of groups coming after the industry is going to go away. It's only going to get worse. So we just have to, being unified as an industry is extremely important.
Perfect. Why should someone join the organization?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons. One, just the relationships you can build. I have long-lasting friends now from people in the industry. And to be honest, when I first joined, I didn't know how that was going to be like, with people that are in our own market. But I've become really good friends with many different people, and it's more valuable than I realized. There's times where something pops up, and I can get on the phone with a friend of mine, like, hey, we've been dealing with this. What have you guys? And they're like, I've been dealing with this. This is what's been working for me, and so the networking aspect of it's really valuable. But also, I think one of the biggest ones is the fact that AZPPO has a lobbyist that represents us, whether it be with regulators, the state regulators, or that on the state side legislation. And there's things happening all the time. Like, for example, a few years ago they were trying to ban the use of neonicotinoids down in Tucson, and so we joined forces, the association, and NPMA helped us too, and then we also joined forces with people at University of Arizona, and came up with an approach and went and testified and talked to different people. Well, I think we're the only place that prevented that from happening. They decided not to ban it. Everywhere else throughout the country, they've done a lot of bans. And then there's legislation that's that's introduced almost every year to try to take certain pesticides away, tools that we use on a daily basis, that are really valuable, and people don't even realize that there's these legislators that are trying to ban things, and so protecting that, and the list goes on and on. And then, like I already said, with AZPPO having a strong relationship with the Department of Agriculture, PMD, we've been able to work with them on many different situations to come up with the best solution and make changes here and there. So it's very valuable.
Sweet. What advice would you give to someone new to the organization?
I'd say get involved. Sometimes people join and then they don't get involved at all, and it's like, well, is this really doing anything for me? It's like, well, just like with anything in life, you get out of things what you put into it, and so get involved. Realize that AZPPO is doing stuff whether you're involved or not, but come into like the annual conference. It's a wonderful educational experience. There's an awesome trade show, and we bring in some of the best speakers in the country. So just being involved with that, but also being involved in like we have different monthly meetings like Mastermind and different membership events like that. There's an annual golf tournament to raise funds for our industry defense fund, and there's some other events too. It's just it's great. There's just the networking and knowing people, the relationships that you build are very helpful and so. I mean, it's a longer list than that, but for this point, I think those are just a few examples of what I'd recommend for someone that's new. Get involved.
Perfect. What would you like to share with anybody watching this?
What? I don't know. Join AZPPO. If you're not already a member, join, because someone that I really respect, he does say, hey, AZPPO is doing everything that we can already, and it's like, hey, don't just sit back and get a free lunch, get involved and help support the industry. And because the more unified we are as an industry, which means, hey, all being an association together, there's strength in numbers.
What is one of the craziest things you've seen over your career?
Probably some of the big infestations that I've seen here and there. I remember one time going in this home and they said they had bad German roaches, and literally they started falling out of near the ceiling and going to the kitchen. We started using a flushing agent, and I thought there was going to be a couple. And what's ironic about it, it happened to be the first house that I was training a brand new technician on. And after about 15-20 minutes, I'm like, turned to him like, hey, I've never seen one this bad. They're not usually like this, because I didn't want him to quit on his first job because he was so freaked out. Because I saw a bunch of stuff under the fridge, and it looked like cast skins of roaches. It was thick. And I was like, hey, help me move this fridge. And as we started moving it, the roaches came out so heavily that it looked like someone like rolling out a piece of like carpet. And it was just rolling, and we just started spraying, and we might have squealed like girls on that one, because it was bad. I'd never freaked me out so bad. And then as we're spraying, then all of a sudden I see the wall moving with my peripheral vision. I look up, and now they're like running up the wall, and there must have been hundreds of thousands of roaches. So that's one of the craziest things I've seen. But then we've also seen a few crazy situations with really bad rat infestations. So yeah, there's some wild stuff out there. Most of the time it's pretty chill, basic stuff. But yeah, you've seen some very interesting things out there.
Last question, what is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Favorite ice cream flavor? Well, I have a couple different ones. Depends on what mood I'm in, but World Class Chocolate from Baskin & Robbins is one of my favorites. There's another one, the Thrifty ice cream, that's a chocolate malted crunch, I think it's called. That's one of my favorites. So those are two of my favorites. Good old cookies and cream is always good. I lived in Texas for a while, so there's multiple bluebell flavors that I like. Yeah, those are a few of them. I'm not a one flavor all the time kind of guy, but those are a few of my top ones.